Talking Tottenham, a fantasyfocus.com production.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 170 of Talking Tottenham. We are so thankful to return for his third consecutive season preview, the one, the only, Everton Jordan, coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona area under a tin metal roof, wearing an Everton goalkeeper jersey and an AFC Richmond Ted Lasso hat. Welcome aboard, Everton Jordan. And yes, Daniel Shakes, you will not get an intro here. How are you doing, EJ?
I'm doing great. I've had an amazing summer. You know, it's great when we have so much footy to kind of occupy us. I was fortunate enough to go to both U.S. men's national teams finals, seeing wins over Mexico, and having a little bit of lasso right now. It's kind of also easing the pain of the off season, and in the midst of that, all the Euro action was great.
It has been a fantastic summer in terms of the football action, but now we got to get into the nitty-gritty of this season. So we always have you on this time of year because I think from at least our friend group perspective, you have the fullest takes on all the squads. You pay attention to the business, you pay attention to the movements in, the movements out, kind of the structure of these clubs, the kits, all that good stuff. So what we're going to run through today, we're going to run through the business that's been done in the offseason, your thoughts on that, a little bit from us. We're going to get into how you feel that the table will kind of unfold as we go through the year and finish up there in May. We will also be providing our insights on where we think Spurs finish, how we appraise your situation with the top four, the relegation clubs, etc., and then finish with a kit review, your favorite kits of the year, and the ones that absolutely make you want to gouge your eyeballs out. So, Danny Shakes, speaking of wanting to gouge your eyeballs out, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, Bucks. Thanks for asking. Long time no talk. EJ, you're 2-0 against Mexico in person?
In person. I'm trying to make it 3-0 when we head up to Cincy for the World Cup qualifiers. I think Bucks
Who's
is gonna
going
come
with you?
there with me. Oh,
I'll be there.
Me, Bucky. We got our buddy Sandwich, aka Moffat, and
Muffalata.
Big Smooth.
What a crew. Swansea
Good
Smooth.
crew. We wanted you, but you know, you got family obligations. That's the way life goes sometimes. I get it.
Don't count me out, guys. I'm working the phones here.
And for the listeners out there, I do apologize. EJ, this is not a rip on you at all, but we've gone through hell in a handbasket just trying to be able to record this without a delay. So you're going to deal with the birds chirping in the background. You're going to deal with a little bit of feedback from EJ, but we're going to give him time, space, some air to get his thoughts out. But let's start with the business that's transpired over this summer calendar so far. Before the Euros, after the Euros, you know, what do you have in mind as far as talking points here, EJ?
Well, obviously, it's been a very busy, transfer season, even in the midst of all the tournaments going on and all that stuff. But I've really just highlighted some teams that made some just head and shoulders strides, and that's going to really factor into when we start to break down the table. You know, how these teams did their business in the summer and how that's going to kind of propel them or, knock them down the table in the case of Everton, probably. Now, when you look at, transfers, obviously Messi news came today, but we're not going to worry about anything outside the EPL. But you have to look first and foremost at the current, Champions League holders in Chelsea. And it looks like they're gonna bring in Lukaku. And that's just going to make them such a different squad. They had a hard time scoring goals last year with Timo, and I think Lukaku is going to completely change that team around. So once that goes official, that's going to propel them. I think they're going to have a pretty big point jump because of that. And they're also, I know this is a guy that you guys were looking at too, Koundé, and I think they're going to bring him in as well. Again, nothing's official, but Chelsea usually they get what they want. That's what's kind of shown this offseason. What do you guys think so far?
Yeah, I think that also frees up Tuchel to play a 4-2-3-1, which is what I think he wants to do, that or a 4-3-3. He had been playing three at the back. He played them more defensive. So whether that means you're benching Silva or Azpilicueta, maybe you keep Rudiger in there if you do bring in Koundé. But I agree with you, Everton, Jordan. I am worried about Chelsea. I do feel like, though, they could be that team that everyone has all the expectations in, and yet they still play defensive ball, and then they are getting into all these draws. But to add Lukaku up there, I think, though, that means a casualty, right, Bucks? Like, does that mean Havertz or Werner got to go? And I think it'd probably be Werner.
I definitely don't think it would be Havertz, but I don't even think it's a Werner situation. I think we're going to see a different approach from them this season if they bring in Lukaku. If they can get Koundé in, obviously this is a club that towards the stretch run there in the Champions League, their defense was damn good. I mean, they were playing some very, very good football. So I think that if Koundé comes in, you bring in Lukaku, the threat on both ends of the pitch definitely intimidates me a little bit, but I think it's good moves for them all around. We shouldn't be surprised that they're splashing cash yet again. This is a
Well,
club
see,
that – go ahead.
well, I was going to say the thing with Timo was when he was at RB Leipzig playing very, very well, they had him, as like a second striker even on the wing. So I think he's going to find a way to kind of coexist with absolutely everybody there. Tuchel obviously showed last year that he's a hell of a manager. He turned that team around completely. They were 10th when he came in table, right? Something like that. And they shot up. So if they don't have that kind of start, sky's the limit for them. That's terrifying.
I totally agree. It's
worried.
terrifying because
I'm worried.
they're doing it on the two lines that matter the most in terms of this game. What else you got?
So Aston Villa, man, they spent that Grealish money very, very well. As a Everton fan, I wish we could have spent the Lukaku money all those years ago as well as, they seemingly have done it this year. They're bringing in Buendia from Norwich. They got Ings. They got Bailey coming in. And they got Twinzabi on loan from Manchester United. They've really shorn up their spine. And obviously, the team that they had last year was great. They exceeded expectations. And I think losing Grealish wasn't a big deal for them in the long run because they invested that money seemingly very well. And time will tell how it really kind of pans out. But those are all players that other teams desperately wanted, including Everton. And I think that's just going to build them immensely. So I see them, performing extremely well. I think they won the transfer market as of right now, in my opinion. And that doesn't mean anything until you play the games. But again, on paper, they dominated what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, they basically just have a whole new front line, Bucks. Now they have Bailey on the left, Buendia on the right, Ings up at center forward. I love them dropping the Ings news just like right after the Grealish stuff became official. Just like, oh, don't get mad at us supporters. We had to do it. It's a good piece of business. I don't disagree, man. I mean, if you always thought Grealish was never going to stay there forever, then this is when you cash in, I would say. And I now completely agree, Everton, Jordan. Leicester had a couple good looks too. I know we'll talk about a couple other ones, but I mean, the way Villa spent that money wisely and they really dumped it into scoring goals, I like it. I like it a lot.
It's just great business all around. Sharp plays,
They still got
players
some money to spend.
Well, it's not just that though. It's the fact that I feel like tactically, what were they missing most last year? And Grealish, having been injured the last couple of years quite a bit.
Exactly.
What were they missing most? A striker, like a true goal scorer there. Pulling Ings in, a guy that I've coveted quite a bit. I think that's a big game changer for them. I do feel that Aston Villa could very well threaten the top 6 this year.
Yeah, exactly. So like what Ings provides to them is like that Vardy effect that like Leicester had when all those years. You have a seasoned veteran that can come in, knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. He's still got a couple really good years ahead of him too. And then they also have Ollie Watkins still, who's a young, very versatile striker. So you pair those guys, whether they're playing with each other or you have, Ings going until he can't go anymore, and then you bring Watkins in, tall, lanky guy that can also bang the ball in the back of the net. Those are good things. They're a very, very scary team. And again, they improved. So I have them as first. Now, I just touched on Leicester a little bit, and I think Leicester also, they are just the epitome of what a Premier League team should be that's not in those quote-unquote, top 6 teams or those big 6 teams or however you want to refer to them.
I mean, they're there.
They're there.
They're
And
there.
they added more to it too. They brought in Daka from RB Salzburg, who, has a lot of Champions League experience. And again, within the league, not a strong league, but has shown that he can score at the highest level. And those guys, Holland came out of RB Salzburg and he's doing well in the Bundesliga. So I have Leicester kind of in second. And they also brought in Sumare as well to kind of shore up a little bit of the midfield. And they're just a very, very strong team. Even if they lose Madison, which, that's still being floated around him to Arsenal, that's not even a loss for them at this point because Madison, again, he didn't really play that much towards their stretch run and even in the middle of the season too much. And he was a little shook. So Leicester's going to be very, very strong. And 2 years in a row, they've dropped out of the top 4 in those last couple weeks of the season. And I think they're going to finally get over that hump. And we'll get into the table in a little bit, but Leicester is a team that's almost kind of, fortifying themselves in that big 6 at this point with some other teams
100%.
dropping out.
If I'm Leicester now, I can put Ndidi at defensive midfield with Somare. You can almost play 2 strikers then up front if you do want to play Vardy. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. They got some cool stuff going on there, actually, unfortunately, for the rest of the Prem.
Really do.
Harvey Barnes, left midfield. I mean, they got is it Fofana? He'll be back, I think.
They said he's out for the year now.
Oh, is he now?
It seems like
that's
a bad
bullshit.
injury.
See, that's rough then.
They have time to bring somebody else in, but he's a special talent. It's
because
really
otherwise they had the best center back
like
pairing out there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can I make a quick comment here?
Absolutely.
Is this like an HBO true crime documentary where EJ is completely anonymous and all you can see
we're gonna
is
change up
the shadow of his head as he speaks here? Do you have a light switch out there? Where's the light switch out there, pal?
I don't know.
It's okay, EJ.
Right on the back patio.
EJ, you've never looked better. You've never looked better.
Turn some ambient lighting on. Hold on one second. Let me get some ambient lighting going. Just give me 2 seconds.
I just had to comment. It seemed like this is like the O.J. Simpson documentary that you can find on HBO. This is that random
I think I got
observer.
something. I think I got something moving right here, guys. Check this out.
So
that's a little
there.
Just
Oh, all right. We're talking to a human. Yeah, we're talking to a human. Yeah,
I've been a little bit better.
It is.
Okay.
I've been very impressed with Leicester. Their moves their scouting department doesn't fail.
They all got done early too.
Yeah.
It's like Spurs didn't even have a manager and Leicester had 2 big time players come in.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, color me very concerned over Leicester in terms of their performance versus Spurs.
But
not just on the pitch, off of the pitch.
Yeah. I'd be remiss in not giving Spurs some credit here, though. I'm on your show. I'm going to be a little bit, nice towards Spurs, but I know you guys love the Rat, and that's the exact thing that you guys absolutely needed. And you can see a clear plan that he's working with. And I think given the time, he's going to do it. And you guys have also made some great signings so far. So if this is the beginning, like the future's looking very, very bright for you guys. Financially, you're doing pretty well too.
Considering the pandemic and everything that's transpired, the $1 billion stadium, I think Spurs are one of the few clubs that are coming out of this looking like we're handling the P's and Q's pretty well here. We're really making sure that, we're trying to build. Are we moving on to Spurs here? Do you like Spurs business so far in this transfer window? It sounds like you do.
I would probably put them 5th right now, just behind. I think Manchester United did a great job. They're bringing in Varane and Sancho. Those are huge name signings, and they already had a good cast of characters to begin with. So I would say Man U is maybe just a little bit ahead of Spurs, but I would put Spurs just behind them.
Now, what about Brian Heel, a.k.a. the Gilster? Where are you at with that signing? I don't know if you've poured as much research as I have into the man, but I'll tell you what, he's like the one unknown here that because he hasn't come to Spurs and lifted up the shirt, everybody's thinking it's kind of a bypass. We don't really care about that. Maybe it's an afterthought, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's some potential there on the wing for that young fella. And depending on if Steve Bergwijn wants to show up and score some goals, contribute to goals. Easy. I'm just saying.
He's an absolute motor, man.
I'm high on Heel.
Yeah, I am as well. You're high up on the hill.
I'm high up on the hill, but I'm also high on Heel.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's a great sign. He looked great in the Olympics. He had some straight up just rockets off that foot, and he's got a lot of confidence for a young guy. And that's what you kind of have to have. And a lot of these guys coming off the Olympics right now, it was just Pedri. He's not going to miss a beat for Barcelona. He's going to come right back in and play because they need him. But like you have these young guys that they don't necessarily need that rest right now, and there's going to be time to rest them with international breaks coming up. He's not going to be called into the first team probably right away for Spain. So I think you're going to get your rest out of him, and he's coming in, fully fit and ready to go. Speaking of which, I think Richarlison, he's coming back ready to play too, and hopefully we kind of retain him. He's going to be pretty important for Everton coming back, and they're even saying he might be able to play first week, which would be that's a bonus at this point. I did not think A, we would even have him, and B, after the Olympics, I thought we would give him some rest. But they said he was in training this week, and that's a little bit promising for us. We need a little bit of a nibble to get us a little bit excited, and he could be the one bright spot coming out right now.
Gold medalist Richarlison.
Love him.
So Shakes, it sounds like you're down on the Gilster, which kind of pisses me off.
No, I love Gil Daddy Flex. First off, my nickname's better than yours. I'm just saying Steve Bergwijn is not an old dude, Bucks, and I've been impressed with Steve Bergwijn so far this preseason. So let's watch this all play out first before we just start plugging in Heel.
Fair enough.
I was going to say, when I saw you guys get Nuno, I thought Bergwijn could be the Traore type player for you. He's a mass, He's a big boy that's got a lot of speed, and I'm sure that's what Nuno sees in him as well. He did a lot of great things with
he
with
needs
Traore.
to bulk up. He needs to bulk up, Everton Jordan. You're being too kind now.
No, he's a thick fella.
He's thick.
He's a thick fella.
Does he
grease him up?
Does he look like the guy from you guys ever watch Big Bang Theory? Looks like one of the characters on Big Bang. I'll do a side-by-side and send it later.
I have no clue
Terrible
what
show.
Big Bang. Yeah, you're racing Big Bang Theory on this show. Shakes, hold on 1 second. I'm going to mute you. You're getting muted.
Can you do that?
Oh, I can do everything on here.
The old PTI here.
Yeah, I won't mute you. I won't do it.
Let's get into Everton.
No. Hold on. Golini.
Oh.
Thoughts on Pierluigi? And then what? We're gonna just gloss over Christian Romero, Cootie? Come on.
Well, best signing in the league.
It's a great signing. Hugo's on his way out. He's getting a goalkeeper that has great Serie A experience, great Champions League experience. Atlanta's been such a great team to watch over the last 2 seasons, exceeding expectations. Probably being outside of Inter winning the league last year, they were right up there as the team in Milan. To beat.
Sure.
And that's just, if you're going to model after that kind of squad and you're bringing in, the anchor to that team in the goalkeeper, that's good business. That's very good business. Again, you're building for the future. Like Hugo's on his way out. This is the right thing to do. And this is the key. You guys are letting your, director of football do his job.
Cool.
And again, I'm going to bring it back to Everton. Well, I was excited when we brought Brands in. I called him Papa Marcel on this very show. And he just hasn't had the leeway to do so, whether it's because of the managerial changes or because of the ownership. But it seems like Levy's letting the rat do his thing, and that's incredibly, incredibly promising in this day and age. And that's the whole point. You bring people in to do a job, let them do their job, and he's absolutely doing it. And if I'm Spurs right now, I'm ecstatic. Maybe not for this season. You can have some, some excitement going into it. But for, a year, 2, 3 years down the road, things are looking really, really good for you guys. There's no doubt about that.
Shakes, you've probably watched all the preseason like I have. My only concern right now with Golini is he tends to flub. He's a great shot stopper. But in terms of making sure that ball is covered up quickly, it's been a little bit precarious there.
A little early to tell on that, Bucks. He's followed up a couple rebounds, I thought, pretty well against Chelsea, but then there were some others. You're right. We'll see.
I'm saying
It'll.
it's the deflection shake.
You're
So
thinking more of the deflections. To me, it's
taking the ball and putting it right into your big fat gut, because I know you got that thick gut, Galini. I know you got that thick gut. You try to hide it with your baggy shirt. You got a gut just like me. I'm gonna put that ball right into my fat ass gut. It's just a point of improvement.
I love this pep talk to Galini. This
Use your gut, man.
Use your gut.
You're clearly a blessed big man. There are a few of us out there. I happen to be one of them. I'm quicker than lightning. I can do things that other big fellas can't. So my point is, refine the hand and the ball skills. You refine the hand and the ball skills, all of a sudden you're taking all of your aspirations and you're making them a reality. Gary V, I told you about the training plan, Shakes. You know how I roll. We do Gary V Fridays. It's 7 hours of Gary V videos. Gary V would tell that fat gut goalkeeper, man, to make sure he's sticking it right there. And I'm telling him the same right now.
My hope, though, guys, is we look back at these signings 3 years from now and everyone says Romero was the class signing of the Prem. That's what I'm hoping that turns out to be.
Yeah, that's what
we
all
see how
are.
important like a good center back is. And if he's the guy that you guys can really build around, not saying he's going to necessarily come in and, shock the world right away. It might take a little bit of time to adjust to the Premier League. But, all those top teams, if you have your center back and you get a center back pairing, things start to happen relatively quickly. Turned Liverpool right around once they got Van Dijk in there, and we saw what happened without Van Dijk last year. And speaking of Liverpool, they brought in Konate, and that's a pretty good signing for them. They might struggle a little bit with Robertson going down right now. Great sign, but that's all they maybe needed to do on the defensive side. I don't think Liverpool added anything on the offensive side, which I think could come back to bite them. And I don't know if they're just trying to save up for, the future there, but I think you're going to see them kind of regress a little bit too. And I know you might just think that's a little bit of just Everton, talk that Liverpool is going to kind of go down a little bit, but I don't know where, their out and out goal scorers are coming from. All that their main three guys in the front are all getting a little bit older. They didn't show an amazing amount of prowess last year. So we'll see. They're going to rely on Jota, and I don't know if that's going to be enough for them. And is Firmino going to come back into form? I hope not. And Salah, his eyes are kind of wandering a little bit. He's coming towards the end of his Liverpool career, possibly, and who knows how that's going to really play out. But they're going to be short up at the back again, and we'll kind of see how they kind of react to a lot of different things, because other teams above them or around them improved. And I don't know if they improved enough, and they're just relying on guys coming back into form, and that doesn't always work out well.
I will say that bringing in Konate to pair with VVD is pretty intimidating.
Yeah, until they run to Pickford.
True. VVD, 30 years old now, though, guys. Coming off a torn whatever Pickford did to him.
Yeah.
What did he do?
A little shaky in the preseason.
They just accidentally collided.
It was a ball. It was 50-50 ball. He went for it, and that's how football is. It happens. It's a contact sport.
Liverpool's getting sneaky old, guys. Mane 29, Salah 29, VVD 30, Allison's 28, so he's fine. Where was the other old? Oh, Thiago's 30. Got some age there. Got some age.
It's going to catch up to them sooner or later. I don't think
Firmino's going to be 30
right now. But I think they're looking more towards next summer.
They'll be a good team this year if their back line stays healthy.
They're going to be a great team. Obviously, they have a great manager. They're going to be a great team, but I just think other teams around them are improving immensely, and that might come back to bite them. That's plain and simple. You got to call it like you see it, and even if you have the Everton blue glasses on, you don't want them to do well, but the writing's on the wall that they are going to maybe struggle a little bit. And that's okay.
Are they yellow or blue glasses at this point? Because there's a lot of yellow accents going on for you right now. And on the home kit.
Yellow incorporated. I
love it.
I like it.
I like having a third color incorporated on the kit. I think it's a smooth look.
Yeah, you got to look smooth out there. Out there.
So EJ, what else? Who else did you like the business of this transfer market?
The business.
That was really the main ones I had. I don't think Arsenal did as well as they are going to lead you to believe that they did. Who knows what Ben White's really capable of? That could either be just like that. Everyone was like, "Oh, Maguire, too much money for him." He's kind of falling. Obviously, about 40 million less than Man U paid for Maguire, but Maguire kind of came into his own, and he's the stud of that defense now, and that's maybe what they're hoping for out of Ben White. Ben White had a great year last year for Brighton, but pressure kind of mounts a little bit when you're with a bigger team and you're trying to kind of figure things out, and they're a little bit unsettled with their manager right now, and who knows what's going to really happen with them. I don't necessarily think
Who's
they
his
made,
partner?
leaps and bounds. Exactly. They don't necessarily have that. You can go with like Gabriel, but you got two younger guys in there, and sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to go, maybe three at the back. Who knows what Arsenal's going to do? I hope they don't do anything too crazy. I think there's a better chance of Arteta losing his job than them performing well at this point. And I don't know, by him losing his job, is that going to be a good thing? Is it going to be like a Tuchel situation where someone else comes in and, makes them a world beater? Or is it just going to be a cyclical thing where they're just starting to rotate through managers because there's not that big name manager that might be available that wants to go to a team that doesn't have European football? And they're going to struggle with that a little bit. And, Kroenke doesn't really open up the purse a little bit, and that could really affect them down the road. And I think we're all in agreement here that we don't want to see Arsenal, climb the ranks. I like seeing them kind of struggle a little bit and be a little bit down.
Oh, we love that here on this show.
Yeah, I know.
Danny
100%
Shanks, your
agree.
thoughts?
Arteta's got to be in the running for first coach fired, right? If we're putting those odds out there, for sure in the top six.
A lot of pressure on them.
But yeah, no, their business was not impressive. The 50 mil for Ben White, that's crazy to me. Hopefully I do not eat crow for that, but that number seems, what do you think? 30% higher than probably it should have been, but I guess that's the premium you have to pay.
Yeah, the thing too is like, oh, go ahead.
I have one question for both of you. Is the pressure that's mounted upon Arteta more comparable to which scenario I'm about to lay out? Forrest Gump playing ping pong against the Chinese in the Olympics? Or is it more like Rocky facing off against Ivan Drago?
Hopefully neither, because both prevailed.
Yeah.
I'm talking pressure here, bud. Movies don't tell the tales two ways, Shakes. The protagonist perseveres the majority of the time. Should I set Apollo Creed round one?
I'm gonna say more Gump.
I would too. There's not a scenario where the Arsenal supporters start cheering for Rocky.
It's a true point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more comparable to
against
Forrest
Drago.
Gump. Forrest Gump took down the Chinese real well in that very Olympic Games.
Just as a whole, what do you guys think of like the transfer window? I mean, you hear like all these teams are going to be tight as far as spending goes. And granted, it does sound like there are a lot of Spanish and Italian clubs that were sellers and needed to be sellers. But I feel like just business as usual for the top six, right? And for other teams in the Prem. I mean, Aston Villa, they had Grealish money, but you still saw Leicester spend. Spurs spent. Basically, Arsenal spent. I guess Liverpool a little bit. I don't know. It seemed like we got 120 mil for Lukaku. Seemed kind of business as usual, and they were just spending like drunken sailors.
So it seemed like the top eight in the Prem were spending money. But I also think there's just something about, I don't know if it's TV contracts or what, but the clubs are just in a much better position. So I'm curious to know both of your thoughts regarding why is Barca, we know why Barca is where they are. The wage fees are just so stupid. I can't believe they ever got themselves in that corner thinking that, this endless rainbow of good fortune is just going to keep raining upon them to where they can keep paying these people. Guess what? We run out of gold sometimes.
Which friend of ours like equates to running Barcelona?
Me. I'm great at it.
Just spending money he doesn't have, bucks.
I'm good at buying shit that I have.
I was trying to be nice. Buying. You could have unloaded that on any of our other friends.
No, I'll take the bullet there. I'm Barca. I'm sitting here.
Check with me
Look
in a
at my
couple
wall.
years.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even be under a tin roof like EJ. I'm just sitting here. I'm in the insane asylum with
vacant
a
wall.
blank wall behind me. Yeah.
This
I
is
mean,
a
this thing
rental.
is
I got a nice place up
it's
in Flagstaff,
it's all
that's,
naked.
among the pines. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some creative deals out there. Like, for instance, Romero is kind of like Lo Celso's deal, where it's a loan with an option to buy next year. So then you can kind of worry about the big financial dollars the year after, when hopefully things are more normal and you have more stadium revenue and all those things. So you are seeing creative deals. Again, happy that we got the Rat because he thought of that. Pull that deal.
The rat.
Yeah. There's so much more time left too, and we talked about it the other day too. I'm like, I wish that it kind of ended before the season started. I know
Yeah.
Bucky, you were in another camp on that one, and the thing is, like, so much can now happen. A lot of dominoes are falling. The Lukaku deal is going to open up some doors for some other teams. Inter's got a little bit of money to spend now, so they're going to bring some people in, and that can create a lot of things. And Man City, they have a lot of guys that want out. Bernardo Silva wants out now. They're going to end up selling him. Is that going to raise enough money? And are they going to go back in for Kane? And if they go back in for Kane, is that going to give Spurs enough time to bring somebody else in? It's going to be very fascinating. We can have a completely different conversation on this in 2 weeks' time, which is fine. We can have that conversation when we get there. But it is kind of exciting, and I can see where you're coming from now. But it definitely is going to get a lot more stressful in the next couple of weeks, and who knows what injuries are going to happen in the first couple of weeks of the season, and a lot of things. So again, like, all the points that I just made could be completely obsolete and moot, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, this season, I suppose it's better to have the transfer window where it is at the end of the month, just because it was such a heavy season for Euroball. Yeah, the pandemic and everything kind of tossed in. So maybe there's just a lot more variables in the air where you will want to fill a team out right at the tail end if you need to or if you have to. But you're right, Everton Jordan. I feel like it's quite the domino effect, and you might have these deals that are contingent on other deals. Again, going back to the Romero one, it's like you still needed Atalanta to sign their center back to bring in at the same time, and they did the same loan to buy thing as well. So it could really turn into this complicated mess at the end, where if it falls through, you're just screwed until the next window, and really the next window in January kind of sucks anyway. So it's just such a game to. That's why, like, going back to Leicester, they got their business done. They're done. They're not worrying about that shit anymore. Whereas for
Not at all.
Spurs, if you have that deal with Kane and it's just Kane plus a couple of players and money, and now you got to quickly spend that money when everyone knows you got that money, that's a problem. You gotta be wise
But
with it and
maybe,
almost hang on to it.
yeah, don't spend right now. Don't panic buy. Kind of roll with what you have, and then see what's available in January, and just kind of see
Right.
where you are. Can work some magic too. That's the thing. You got a
Oh, Everton,
manager in that can do
Everton Jordan,
something with little. Go
question.
ahead.
Yeah, question for you. Do you see big time players kind of riding out their contract more now, as opposed
Absolutely. We
to
kind of
leaving on a free, get a bigger wage structure, and then now not conversely, I should say, but because of that, teams getting wise to it. Maybe you are seeing like deals like Kane get done either as a restructure of your contract with 3 years to go, or just look, we're transferring you out year 3. Year 3 is like 3 years to go in your contract is the new 2 years to go in your contract. 2
kind
years
of,
is
yeah.
like way too close for us now. Because otherwise, you have a Christian Eriksen situation where we didn't get shit done year 2, and now we're really screwed in the final year.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is a lot of players that think they are that elite level, and that's going to be the bigger issue. It's those kind of guys that aren't quite, to that, like, Mbappe level, that maybe think that they are, and they're like, well, I'll just hang around and I can get more money. And they might, but they also might fall flat, and then everybody loses. The players don't get money, and the club's not getting money. It's going to be very, very. We kind of talked about that. I think like last summer we talked about that, because what Juve was doing is they were buying those guys that were free and giving them a lot of money, and kind of, like, I think Ramsey went there for an exorbitant amount of money, and that's just kind of silly, to splash the cash that way. But also, maybe teams aren't going to be stupid like that, those little in-betweener players, and overpay them and end up in a situation like Barcelona is now.
That's interesting. I can't fathom a world where you're a player and you want a move You restructure your contract at a certain point, right? So I don't really understand. Is it truly that they're and this is an honest question that I don't have the answer to. Are you just passing along the current contract from one club to the other, or is it simply the rights to negotiate a new contract? Is
Kind
it
of both.
50
So you keep that
Yeah.
same contract, and you can renegotiate when you get there. But if you're paying 80 million in a transfer fee, you're not going to have the funds to kind of build that into their weekly wages
I
to
mean, you got to agree
restructure
to
it.
personal terms before you're really pulling the transfer trigger anyway.
Sure.
So
And
you got to
that
sweeten
was
the
my
pot to
question.
make them
Yeah.
want to make the move. But I think where it's also a shift, and you see this in American sports about players caring more about the player empowerment part and just doing what's best for them and not really thinking about their team or club. That's kind of maybe the mindset that will happen more in Europe too. It's like I don't see Harry Kane doing something like this because he's like the whole one of your own and was born raised Spurs. This is the way he is. But the Ramsey situation, he kind of just said, "Screw it, I'm just leaving. Sorry, you're not getting a transfer fee for me. You should have did something for me the year before, or the year before that." Ericsson, it didn't work out exactly that way, but basically Spurs got 20 cents on the dollar for Christian Ericsson. So
Yeah.
there's going to be these players that kind of leave the club high and dry, but you can't blame the club or you can't blame the player only. You have to blame the club too, because they should also know that they could be in that situation more often this time around.
And the agent matters too. I know you guys were
For
kind of
sure.
talking
Yeah.
about like Harry Kane having his brother as the agent. It's a little bit different. You got Mino Raiola that he's probably chirping in these guys' ears, and we're dealing with the situation at Everton with Moise Keane, and he thinks that he's this incredible player and he should get this this move back to PSG or wherever it might be, and Inter might be in for him right now too, and a lot of other things, but if you're not performing on the field, you're not going to get that transfer out of there. And then the team that has your rights, and we're like, I might as well just hold on to you for a few more years, let you go on a free, because we're not going to make any money on you anyway. And, hopefully you perform for us and, you don't pout on the field because you ultimately want to get a contract at the end somewhere else. And it is very, very interesting. And it's always fun to kind of watch, but let's get back into the footy, the matches and everything, and go there.
Let's get into the table. What do you got,
Yeah.
AJ?
All
Let's
right.
go top 6.
Okay, so with that Lukaku deal going through and Man City the way they are right now, I have Chelsea 1, Man City 2, Man United 3, Leicester 4, Liverpool 5, and Spurs 6.
So Leicester in front of Liverpool there, huh?
Again, I think Leicester made enough moves to hold that top 4 spot that they've shown the last couple of years and to hold on to it down that stretch run. And I just don't see Liverpool doing enough this year. They battled to get into the top 4 last year at that end. They had to get an Allison goal to really shore up that they were going to finish in the top 4 against a lowly West Brom team. And I think that kind of can carry over. Now, again, last year was almost like an anomaly with everything without fans in the stands, and that's going to change a lot of dynamics. Liverpool at home is going to be a much different team than they were, last year. I don't think Everton are going to go into Anfield and win like they did last year, in front of a full cup. They're not. And that's going to kind of play into, how the table kind of changes from last year. So last year doesn't mean everything, but just based on, the players, the personnel that you have, what other teams did around you, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
I don't disagree, Bucks. I mean, Liverpool, we talked about them getting older. Got a lot of guys getting in their upper 20s into their 30s, and Van Dijk coming off a brutal injury. And Henderson's older. He was also injured. They lost Wijnaldum, who was their engine. And they could be in that season from hell scenario where they do have all their competitions going. So they are in the Champions League. And injury or two later, I'm not saying it's just VVD gets injured again, but you have an injury or two, and you have an aging team. I could see how a long ass season after a pandemic season with all those campaigns going on could do them in, where maybe it would affect their Premier League run. I don't know what that says about their FA, Bang Energy, or Champions League runs, but the Prem's long as shit, and that's where that could definitely come back and bite them. I had them actually 6 as well, EJ. I went to go reverse order. I had them at 6. I had Spurs at 5. I also had Leicester at 4. I had Man U at 3. Chelsea at 2, and Manchester City winning the table because I do think they get a striker by the end of it.
So I had your first 3. I have Man City winning, followed there by Chelsea, Man U, and then Spurs at 4. And here's why.
Love it.
Obviously, you knew this was coming. All of you knew this was coming. I'm back on the bandwagon. And I wouldn't say I ever left it, but Jose tried to take my soul from me. And Nuno has reintroduced a soul into my body. Nuno is such an eloquent speaker. I love the guy. I was telling Danny Shakes earlier, EJ, I want to pay for a TED talk with Nuno after just a few post-game press conferences. This is my guy. I'm going to ride or die with Nuno. And it could just stab me right in the heart. That's okay. I'm going to believe right now. But here's the reasoning here. It's not just Nuno. It's reinstilled hope for the players that they are playing for a manager that truly believes in his system, his ideals, and his tactics. I don't think Jose ever had that. And to be honest, with Poch at the trail end and the group of players we had after a transfer window with zero movement in or out, it's one of those situations where that got kind of stagnant as well. I do feel like Nuno will readdress some of the tactical approaches that we take match to match to make sure that we're getting the most out of the situation based on who we're playing.
Sounds like you had like a religious experience with the Holy Spirit.
I'm having one. Yeah. The second part of it is simply look at how young our roster is. Folks get so tied up about this player hasn't performed, that player hasn't performed. This is a young club. Hugo is the old man. Dyer could be considered the old man. But who else? This is a young club. And the fact that we're playing in the Conference League, I think, as disappointing as it is from the perspective of what we should have achieved last year, I think it's a blessing. I think it's an absolute blessing that we can rotate a club or rotate a squad in and out of those matches, get Brian Heel a lot of great minutes, get Tanganga every single minute they have out there, Joe Roden, same thing. Rotate in these younger players. I really think that something could pop off for this club just from the fact that we're not going to have to send the horses out against Paco's de Ferreira. You're not going to have to send the horses out against a team from wherever the hell we're going on the next trip.
Yeah.
You're going to have to send out a team that believes. I think Nuno can help them believe. I think we can achieve at that level with a very different squad than what we're throwing out for Premier League matches. The Premier League, though, I have this weird feeling that Spurs will overachieve this year. Things have to change. And I think the changes we've made have been positive from a mentality standpoint as well as a training standpoint. I think we've seen that with the second half performances thus far in the preseason against every club. The second half has looked better than the first half. We look like a club that's on it. Killer mentality. Get the goal. Believe. There's something about this season with Liverpool, and I think you both did a great job mentioning their very much detrimented ways of how they've managed the squad moving forward. But there's something about the fact that I love opening with Man City. This could be the ultimate statement. We're here. We get a draw. I'm stoked. We get a win. Oh boy. It's a different ball game. But that's me every week, regardless. Shakes, you know what? Your snide laughter there.
No, I love
don't
it, Bucks. You're
I don't
back
love
on.
the.
You're
I don't
drinking the
love the
Kool-Aid
snide.
again. You're
I'm
drinking the
back.
Kool-Aid again. I love that you're back. I've never
fully
left.
back.
I also don't
I've
think
been
you're
in it.
being like unreasonable
never
either.
left.
You're making very salient points. You're not like overextending, like, oh, we're going to win the league. And I know you maybe said that, but I think the points that you're making, you have every reason
never
to
said
be as
that.
optimistic as you are. You have every
Here's
reason to
the
be as
thing.
optimistic as you are.
Cautiously optimistic. That's the play.
Mentality matters. Mentality matters. Makeup of the locker room, it matters. The fact is, this is a club that, as a fan, as a podcaster, Danny Shakes and I have sat there and said, well, he's just either not getting an opportunity or this player's not getting it done. There's no excuses now. Ryan Sessegnon, you're going to play a massive role in the Conference League. You will be asked to play in the Premier League. We need you to show up this year. We've been waiting for 2 years. It's time now. You had a good year at Hoffenheim. We need that player. We really need that player. Lucas Moura, give him the reins. Let him run. Give him the reins. Let him run. Steve Bergwijn, I mean, my goodness. The guy comes in, beats Man City his first match, and all of a sudden he's going through a struggle just to get playing time. This is a guy that's got to play for Spurs. And the only way you figure out if you have a player, if you don't have a player, is putting him in the lineup, seeing what you have. And not just once. And then you pull the plug and you scold them live across the world, broadcasted like Jose did. You don't do that. You let these guys learn. I don't have expectations. I will not be disappointed if we don't finish fourth. But I think this team has it in their guts to get this done. And if you have it in your guts, it's just about spilling them. Get out there and spill your guts. That's my pitch for Spurs. Spill
TED Talk.
your guts.
You got to add one other player to this, Bucks, and that's one Dele Alli.
Well, if Dele can come back, my God, because I was already banking on him. If he can come back, we'll be all right.
Hey, maybe Doherty steps up for you guys too. He goes back to his form, and that's.
I hope.
I hate the term, but like, oh, he's going to be like a new signing. Maybe. Who knows?
I'd rather try to stuff my fist into my narrow mouth. Look at this huge fist in this narrow mouth. That ain't gonna work.
We need a right back.
And now you brought me back down immediately. But yeah, I got Spurs at 4th, and then I do have Liverpool at 5.
Okay.
And then Leicester
Who do you
at
have at
6, by
6?
the way. Leicester.
Okay. I can run down the rest, and we can get into relegation if you guys want to. I'll just run down
Ooh,
mine.
I'll talk a little relegation with you, EJ.
I like this
Fun.
first from Ian Ferguson here.
We got
Nuno,
one.
the Portuguese Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
And clearly
Maybe he
Ted
gets a
Lasso
little lead
is playing
tasso
it.
sometimes.
I hope he turns into Lead Tasso. What a character.
Everton Jordan, I was thinking of an idea. We each draft 2 teams for relegation.
Okay.
You either get 1st and 4th pick or 2nd and 3rd pick. What do you want? Bucks, you're not in this.
That's fine.
I want 1st and 4th.
You want 1st and 4th?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Hold on, I got 2nd, 3rd. Let me pull this up here. All right.
While you're doing that, I'll run down my table because I'll, just to kind of keep things honest, and then you guys can hold it to me at the end. I have 7 as Aston Villa, 8 as Arsenal, 9 Leeds, 10 West Ham, 11 Wolves, Everton coming in at 12th, Brighton at 13th, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Newcastle, Watford, Burnley, Norwich, and Brentford. But we could do our draft still, if you'd like.
I was gonna say you could have stopped at 16.
You got Deitch going down?
I do.
Oh.
He's run his course, man. We've been
First
saying
off,
it for the last 4 years. I think he might have run his course this year. They're losing people.
let me say, Everton will finish better than 12th, but I admire your honesty with that. I also like that you had Villa ahead of Arsenal. Leeds, they could be a surprise team too. Maybe didn't do enough this offseason. And what was the other mid-table team that you said that West Ham. West Ham team that gets zero respect from anybody. I mean,
Well,
that would be
I think they might
quite the
struggle
drop
with
off.
Europa. I don't think they're
Yeah.
deep enough to have Europa. I don't know if they're going to get Lingard back. There's a lot of question marks still for West Ham, and I think they punched above their weight. And I think they were a team that benefited from empty stadiums. I think West Ham Stadium, when it's full,
They're just used to it.
it could be a little bit detrimental to them. Their fans are having their fans not with them last year might have benefited them because that's a rough crowd. You can remember before the season started last year, they sold their best young prospect away to West Brom, and their captain come out and says, I don't like the way this organization is run. You thought that could be really toxic, and if fans were in the stands for every single game, that toxicity might have built to an immense level, and I think they benefited from, not playing in front of their supporters week in and week out, and I think that helped them not have those those runs where they were losing 2, 3, 4 matches in a row, dropping major points in a row. And I think that they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. And, David Moyes, great manager, but I don't know if he has enough there squad depth wise and everything wise to kind of keep to the level that they were at. Similar to kind of like when Burnley made Europa that one year about 5 years ago. And they were basically bottom of the table early on. And I think I can see West Ham struggling out of the gates, and when they struggle out of the gates like that, they have enough to rebuild all the way back up the table, and that's a mid-table, bottom half kind of team at that point.
I say to hell with them.
Yeah, no, I don't like them. Take away Suchek and Rice, that's where problems would start happening. So, yeah, it was a knee-jerk reply by me though when you had them at 10th. All right, well. Who's the first pick for you for relegation?
Brentford.
You going Brentford?
I like Brentford. I like them a lot. I love Tony. Tony. Love him.
Hey, Tony.
But they're going to live and die by him being able to score goals. Similar to Norwich a couple years ago with Pookie. They were going to live and die by him being able to score goals. And I just think that they didn't add enough to really be able to compete, and they could struggle early on, and they're going to play, fast-paced, football, and they're going to try to be on the front foot when they can and counter when they can and do all that stuff, and they might be a little bit exposed at the back, and if they're leaking goals and not scoring goals, I'm putting them down there. And again, it's their first time in the Premier League. It's really hard, first time up there with a young, aggressive manager. Like, is that going to really be able to hold the course of an entire season? I personally do not think so. I like them. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. And again, watching Tony play, I hope he plays well. But I just don't know if it's going to be enough for them to get out of the basement. So that's my first pick.
No, I like it. I always like the underdog story, though, like come up from the championship, and hopefully they can make it happen. With that said, I'm taking Norwich as my pick, followed by Watford. So I will leave you Burnley if you want them.
I'm going to take Burnley. So with Watford, I kept them out of the bottom three because I think that they have enough experience in their squad. They brought in Josh King, who was, didn't do anything for Everton last year, and I think he's going to come back with a vengeance with a chip on his shoulder. And I think that could be, pretty big for them. And they got your boy Danny Rose. And I know he kind of had a falling out with Spurs, and he's kind of wavering a little bit, but having that kind of guy in the locker room on defense could be enough that keeps them up. And that's why I didn't put them in my bottom three.
No, I understand. I get it. Watch Sarr leave, though. Then they got real problems scoring.
Possibly.
To Spurs.
That would be a great pickup.
Too.
Wow.
I'd be all in on that pickup.
I love Malong Sarr so much. That's
Ismail.
I covet that guy.
Yeah, Ismail.
See, now
Ismail.
I think so.
Wait,
Liverpool
is it Ismail?
have had
Yeah.
Ismail, yeah. So Liverpool have had him
Where's
on their radar for
Malong
a
at?
while. He's a Chelsea guy.
We got 2 Sars?
Oh yeah, but usually
Trust me,
I think
you want
Chelsea's
this
going to loan
Sarr.
him out.
This is the
I want
Sarr
the
you
Ismail?
want, Bucks.
Yeah, but I think
Ismail over
Liverpool
Malong.
might sneak in and get him if they feel a little bit of pressure to add something on the wing.
Oh, I would
So
hate
watch
that
out
signing.
for Liverpool.
I would fucking hate
But
that signing.
it's a total Liverpool signing if they get him. It's
I
an absolute
know.
signing. He's going to go there and he's going to perform.
Oh
great.
my god. I would fucking hate that signing.
Shakes,
see,
I can
that's
tell
why
you
when
really
the
you don't like the signing, Shakes, huh?
It's like the
That
next
hasn't
Sane.
happened yet. This prospective signing.
Can't stand it. Breaking
Bucky,
everything preemptively.
who's your relegated teams, Bucky?
So I have Brentford. I do have Watford, and I have Norwich. It's very cut and dry for me this year.
Yeah,
I think
Norwich is gonna
Brighton
fight.
takes a
Norwich is
step
gonna fight.
forward.
Great
I
manager.
liked your table.
That's your boy.
Yeah, of course. I love Graham Potter. I would have loved to have Graham Potter on me. Oh.
Yeah.
I hear you giggling, Shakes. Yeah, I would have. Okay.
You're the one that
Clip that
giggles over Graham
soundbite.
Potter. Yeah.
I'm a giggler. But yeah, that's my relegation. Yeah. So in closing, any other thoughts on just going into the season before we get into a little more fun with the kits?
Oh, we should talk FA Cup and Carabao, like who we think's going to be in the finals of both of those games.
Go for it.
Okay, so in the FA Cup, I have Man U beating Liverpool. Bitter rivals, teams that or Liverpool hasn't been a factor in the FA Cup for a while, and I can see them outside of focusing on just kind of building themselves up in the table. I can see them prioritizing the FA Cup this year. That would be a really good seal on Klopp's Liverpool career. Not saying he's going to leave or anything like that, but I think that's maybe where he might focus a little bit. And on the other side, you got OGS. I think that might be his best chance at a trophy. And I can see them with their squad depth and with the power that they have, adding Sancho and everything. I think the FA Cup is what they have circled this year. What about you guys, your FA Cup?
So, I mean, to me, it's just always just completely dependent on the draw, right? And then also, absolutely. You have two teams that you mentioned at least that will have Champions League football. So it'll depend also on the run that they are making because if the schedules line up the right way, you'll see the FA Cup really create havoc with the Prem schedule along with some Champions League matches if they make it into the knockout stages. So I kind of look the other way. I look like a team like a Leicester. I could see them getting again to the FA Cup. I also could see an Aston Villa getting there. Yeah. So I think the FA Cup could be something that's a little bit more different looking, whereas the Bang Energy Carabao Cup, which happens earlier in the season, and you might have some group stages and you're able to play, kind of wider lineups. That could be like a Chelsea-Man City matchup, something like that for me.
Yeah, so for FA, I have Aston Villa, Chelsea winning.
I like that. That's great.
I like
That's
it.
a good one. That's a good one. As far as the Bang Energy, I had a Reign Energy drink, REIGN drink before this podcast
like the
here.
reign of Everton Jordan.
Does that have a Spartan helmet as the
it does.
as the logo?
It's awful. I'll never go away from Bang ever again. I was just
how many milligrams of caffeine?
300.
That's not bad.
But it was like this orange creamsicle flavor. It was awful. Absolutely.
Isn't
terrible.
a Bang like 275?
Maybe.
I mean, what's in a Starbucks?
Bangs make me shiver, man, which is why when I think about the Carabao Bang Energy, I think about the fact that it just makes your blood kind of feel a little different pulse. And I like a different pulse in my blood.
Have you guys ever had Red Line?
Yeah, I used to try the Red Line, and then I got flatlined temporarily and had to actually be resuscitated. So
neither.
my Carabao
bust out
is
the old defibrillator.
Yeah. If you want to die temporarily, go for the Red Line.
Red Line, if I remember right, actually had kind of like a marker, like see-through where you could see the drink going down, and it's like stop here after one sip. Like it says something like that. Like you cannot go past this in one gulp.
Well, if you just chug the damn thing, then you're gonna flatline.
Bucky's first sips of anything, mainly beer, are massive. That's one thing I remember from our college days. Massive first gulps.
It's not just the first. The problem is the third, the fourth, the fifth continues on, and it just really never stops. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this Bang Energy. Who
I
is
have
taking down the Bang Energy?
Man City, just because they're going to be cohesive enough with their second, third teamers, and they'll just blaze through it like they always do. And I have them beating Aston Villa because I think Aston Villa is going to make a little bit of a run early on in that competition.
Shakes?
I like that. Yeah, well, I mean, I just said earlier. I mean, that felt like a Man City type tournament. Chelsea teams that might focus more on that because they know they have possible deep Champions League runs ahead, which could really screw up the FA thing. So I agree with Man City. Everton, Jordan, I also have them. Whereas Villa, I see them more on the FA Cup side.
See, I got Man U here. It just feels like a Man U Bang Energy.
If you think excitement and energy drinks, you think OGS. You think the old gunner.
Perfect spokesman.
I'm already buying it.
He's also got
Just
to be on
get
the hot
hit-
seat too, right? If we're talking about hot seat with like Arteta,
For
like,
sure.
No.
OGS
Well,
has to be on the hot
he
seat. I
just
know they
signed a
gave him big
contract extension.
That's the dumbest thing in the world to give him that kind of extension right now. Just wait a little
What
bit. Just wait
a
to see how the
win
season
for the
goes.
rest of the Prem.
I
Because
don't
you know
know,
that's
man.
blowing up.
See, I don't know. I think you guys are looking at this in the wrong lens. They've improved year over year. With
Better.
OGS,
Hold on. Total market value of team.
I'm not worried about what the total market value is. It's a different ball game. If you're showing me signs of improvement and the fan base can be patient enough, good things can come. That's basically the message I want to convey about Spurs. Be
But see,
easy.
with OGS though, it's a similar situation to like Lampard. Like they've given him a lot of things, and he has a lot more leeway than Lampard had. But Man U has to be looking over their shoulder and be like, hey, why don't we bring in a more experienced manager, not that club legend type of feel, and
Sure.
let's bring in someone that knows how to win in a final and not get knocked out in semis or whatever it might be. And their patience might be very thin because they've invested a lot of money. And yeah, that's why I don't understand them giving him a contract right now. Like, what good did that do for them?
Yeah,
whatsoever?
I don't understand that.
Nothing. That's going to handcuff you down the road if you have to let him go. That's just money that you're just blowing away that you didn't have to blow. And that's where I think that they kind of messed up there. But
Here's
I think he's got to be on a short lease this year.
If I owned their publicly traded stock, I'd be pissed about that maneuver with management.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know if he was a lame duck coach this year, though. Was he in his final year?
No, I
That'd
think
be
he
the
had
only-
like 3 years left or something.
Yeah,
crazy like that.
yeah, you don't do this. You don't do the stretch then at that point. You don't
For that
stretch,
type
right?
of manager, that like someone's not knocking on their door and be like, oh man, we need to get Ole.
Yeah, we
Like,
got to lock up
no one
OGS
no one else is thinking that.
before
one's
Byron
thinking
comes
that.
calling. Yeah, that's not
like,
happening.
It's not. He's not that kind of manager. He's great. He's doing a good job there, but he's not that guy that people are banging down the door because he's not going to leave Man U because he's a club legend. He's not going to leave them high and dry like that. So I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. That was mind-boggling.
See, this is the thing, though. It seems like you guys are discounting how cutthroat this league is. This is the top 8 to 10 teams in the Prem will give any other team a hell of a day on the pitch. They really will. If it's that other team's day, they'll go for it. Man U was in shambles. OGS has kind of raised them out of that. So I want to give him a little bit of credit. I don't like the fella.
He changed the culture after Jose. Yeah, because he ruined it, and they had to bring it back.
I think he did it. Well, of course he ruined it. That's what he does. That's why we brought in Ted Lasso, the Portuguese, and we brought in our guy Nuno.
Maybe Nuno will be our OGS.
So let's go ahead. Let's end this with kit assessments from EJ with your top and bottom kits. What kits stand out to you this season? And I want to start with the worst. Let's go to the worst.
Worst kit, Chelsea's home kit. That thing is an abomination. It's gross. It's like the racing flag, and they have the yellow for some reason, and that's not really necessarily their thing. And that, like the lightning bolt yellow down the the side, and they used it a little bit last year, and they performed horribly in it. So I think that might continue, and that thing is just hard to look at. What do you guys think?
Which kit?
Chelsea's home kit.
Hate them. I hate it. I want to go there. I want to go there first. Bucks, you adjust your mic while I'm talking. The zigzag one. The zigzag one I cannot stand with the different colors of the blues. I wrote that as my number one worst. I had it edging Watford's kit.
Okay.
Check.
Bucks' mic just conked out on us, Everton Jordan. So it's just me and you talking kits right now.
Oh wow, I'm actually shocked. I thought it was maybe on my end. I just assumed it was me that was the problem.
Usually it's you, right?
Yeah.
The Chelsea one, it's just uninspiring, and I just cannot stand the Z wavy line. I assume that's what you hate the most about it.
Yeah, it's just a weird like flag waving type thing, and it's just not easy on the eyes. And as their main home kit, it's gross.
I hate the yellow stripe too. Usually I like the accent colors, but like it's just out of place because it's not on the sleeve, but it's just on like the base of the torso. That one's bad. I also did not care for the West Ham kits. Thought they were kind of basic. The Watford one with like the horizontal stripes, though, those ones I thought just they sucked. The bumblebee look. I wonder how that's going to look on TV. That one I feel like I'm going to watch like bees kind of flying around in a hive. That's what I think the Watford one could end up looking like for me.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you can hear you perfect now.
Gotcha.
All right, perfect. So Watford is my worst kit.
You hate those two.
First off, why does the Kelmy paw have to be on the socks?
It's on the sleeve too.
It's everywhere. There's just paws everywhere on that kit, and it's like, Kelmy, you're flexing way too hard.
The bumblebees, they're going down. Just all the vibes, guys. I'm sorry. Worst kit, terrible team. We're gonna lose Sarr when he goes to Liverpool, and I don't really everything.
care for Man City's home kit and their third kits. It's awesome. They look like training kits, and it's awful. For a team of that prowess, Puma screwed them royally.
So I don't mind the Man City whites. The
whites are great.
The whites are awesome. Is that their third kit, or is that their
That's
second?
Their away
I don't
kit.
know. Is that their away kit? That one with like it's like the color change with the Etihad Airwaves. Like you see it go from whatever it is, like deeper purple to lighter blue, and then they have like the nice little sleeve, like on the sleeve, like that little accent right at the edge of the sleeve. I love the Man City whites. Despise the Man City what do you call it, light blues, but the whites I think are really, really sharp.
I agree. And then I'll jump into best kits now at this point. Spurs, that acid kit.
You love the acids?
Spurs, I love it. That's right up my alley. That's my vibe, my gypsy loving vibe. And that if I was Spurs, I would have already had that 3 times over. I probably would have bought extras just in case I spilled something on it or ruined it.
I'm getting a skip.
That's a work of art.
I'm getting a skip acid trip.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think from what I've read, Everton Jordan, it's like, all right, we're going to go super classic with the whites, the home kits, and then we want to do something that you can't repeat ever again with the secondary kit. So they accomplished that. That is for certain. And I dig it, man. I'm going acid skip, acid trip skip. I think Bucks is too. Not sure who he's getting on the back. Maybe a Tang if he actually stays on the squad.
No, I won't get a player. Can you guys? Am I clear?
I got you now, man. Loud and clear.
Yeah. Now you're clear.
This thing is giving me a fit.
Well, that's what happens, Bucks.
I'm just panicking on live video over here. The acid skip jersey is one of the best jerseys I've ever seen.
I love how we call them the acid skips now.
Yeah. The acid skip jersey with the green numbering, I think they knocked it out of the park. As far as the Man City, which I wasn't able to chime in on, why do they have that little like airplane strip of white down the side like it's an NFL jersey for ventilation under your pads?
No, those suck. And they got like a powdery look to them too.
Yeah, they're a bit lighter than they usually are, and they have the navy or the baby blue shorts as well. I don't think it looks good for them. I think it looks like a training kit a little bit. It doesn't look pro. I think Man U's are pretty weak. I don't know if it's just they went from the beautiful American brand Chevy directly into TeamViewer, which I've used on multiple occasions. It is a shit application. So TeamViewer, you're not welcome here as a sponsor. You sponsor Man U, so clearly I wouldn't allow you in the door. But I'm just putting it out there. That TeamViewer looks like shit. It's too small.
Stupid.
It's either got to make a statement or it can't just look so feeble. It's a feeble and weak sponsor on that kit. That's a terrible looking kit, but it is classy in its upbringing there. Acid. All right, so on the good ones. Acid Skip, absolutely fantastic. I think it's the best jersey in the Prem this year, aside from my number one, Leeds home. Those Leeds home
The
white
Leeds
kits
whites with the black shorts.
the volt on either side, which is the triple stripes for Adidas. I think that's the classiest kit that there is in the league this year. Very subtle striping throughout with the varied white colors and grays. The thing just looks impeccable. Credit to those folks. I think that's the best kit this year. And followed very, very closely by Acid Skip, but two completely different sides of the coin.
Good assessment. I love Everton's away kit. Throwback to like the 1881.
I was going to
1882
say that.
season.
I was going to give you
the
guys some
Black
props.
Watch. Very, very cool. Hummel does a good job. I'm very pleased with Hummel. It's not good for my bank account, but
I love
whatever.
all the
What are you gonna
sashes.
Do you have all three?
Yes.
And the goalkeeper kit?
And the goalkeep, and I got some training ones too. I have a problem. I have a problem. I had to hide the boxes when they come from
From the
But
wife.
whatever. It makes me happy. It's little joys in life. You got to get those little joys in life, and it's.
Hey,
not,
I'm
still.
I'm
paying
into the
mortgage,
football
it's
cards. I
fine.
get it. I got to open my packs each day.
Oh
What
yeah.
else you got for highlights kit wise?
I don't hate the Liverpool homes with like
I
the
like 'em.
diagonal stripe. I know. I like them too. God damn it. I mean, get SAR, have the better kit. I mean, we still have them better on the acid trips, but I like their home kit, the one they're going to wear the most. Just has that little touch of class with that diagonal stripe that
Ugh.
goes through it.
You are no taste.
What about you, EJ?
Yeah, I like Arsenal's away, the faded yellow with just the cannon. That's pretty cool.
I think that's got
full
stripes on the
No.
top. Like, let me gotta look them up now. Yeah, like on the shoulder, they got
It's
the
just right.
Adidas
Yeah, it looks
lines.
pretty cool.
That's kind of cool on the
It
top.
looks pretty cool.
I don't know what
But-
shorts they're wearing with it though.
Like navy.
Their home kits are awful.
Nah, they suck.
Yeah.
I
Look
don't
like-
love Spurs home kits, by the way.
They look like sweater vests. The Arsenal kits. The
You
home
would
kits.
love it. Your sweater vest hat.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on sweater vests. It's a change
Cardigans and
shakes.
sweater vests. I like
Wow. My goodness.
Spurs home kits, Bucks. They're plain. Okay, that's what it is. But I'd rather them be plain than them try something wacky with the home kit.
I agree.
Next year,
we don't look
Spurs,
like
the little
Chelsea.
previews. Yeah, next year's Spurs home looks pretty tight. It's got the little volt in it again.
I
But
like
not
that.
aggressively. It looks pretty good.
Plus,
Looks great.
I'm convinced Spurs did the simple home kit because they were going to go so wild with the second kit.
They
I
had to.
agree.
Yeah,
You got to have the balance, the yin yang. You know?
That's it
Yes.
right there. That's your thing, Buck.
I also like Norwich away.
Ooh,
The
I gotta look this
black
one up.
with the smooth blue, the sapphire blue that they have going through there. I think, wow, what a kit. Their home kits stink.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
Oh, they're awful. Man,
Well,
I
it
miss
looks like
these.
it looks like you have a yellow snake or a green snake that's just wrapping itself around
Yeah,
through your
the
armpit.
sleeve. Yeah,
It's
look at
kind
the
of
sleeve
terrifying.
thing.
I don't like that. But they nailed it with that second kit. I think Norwich is going to look very classy. I also like Liverpool. I think Liverpool looks good. I like the fuchsia they incorporated with it, just very subtly. I like a little bit of change with the colors. Arsenal, as I said, terrible. Leeds, I love. I'm just trying to run through it. Yeah, those are really the standouts for me. Everything else is
definitely.
kind of blah.
Yeah. Leicester's kind of blah. I don't mind their second kit. Like the lighter turquoise type look.
We'll have to revisit this because
It's all
after we
about
see
seeing it
them
on
on the
high
pitch
def.
quite a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, with Norwich, I like their new sponsor with Lotus. I think they've had them like years ago, and they kind of brought them back. And I'm also excited that Norwich signed our Power Ginger as their striker. And that's really good, from a U.S. men's national team perspective. We have another guy in the Premier League who's going to get some pretty serious minutes. So
With
good for
Pookie.
him.
Young
With
Sergeant.
Pookie. That's a good.
Yeah.
We need that. We need that.
We needed Pookie back. I'm stoked for Pookie. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I have him in my fantasy league.
Beautiful.
I love Timu. That is my boy. All right. Well,
Their introduction back into the Premier League is rough, by the way. If you look at their first 5 fixtures, and they have Liverpool, Man U, and Man City, they're gonna struggle out the gate. It's gonna be tough.
get it done with and then find your groove.
That's the point, though. Yeah.
That's
Is
Everton's
Lotus the
long
car
season,
company?
Lotus's car
Is
company.
Lotus
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. It's been a while
Cool.
since I heard Lotus.
Yeah. They're
Nice
coming
car.
back.
What's your thoughts on White Lotus, the show on HBO?
Not seen it. Recommend?
Me neither.
I can't recommend it.
Oh, okay.
I've struggled
I'll
through
watch it.
it.
And
That saved me a
see
lot of
feedback.
time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
welcome.
your honesty. Yeah.
I have no idea what the show wants to be, but it's very frustrating. But EJ, thank you so much for staying on board, getting this done with us. Season preview, a lot of good stuff, little nuggets there, a little broader scope than what we usually provide, which centers around the rat smoking, Daniel Levy's torture chamber, as well as a few different facets of Deli Alley's haircut. So it's been good to kind of get away from that. Shakes.
One more thing, EJ. Who wins the Golden Boot?
Oh, yeah. I have Lukaku winning the Golden Boot.
Wow. I don't have that.
Yeah.
Who do you have, Shakes?
Harry Kane.
Plus
I got
300.
Lukaku as well.
Kane's odds-on favorite right now.
Don't ask
because
me who he's
Lukaku's
playing
not
for.
official. Yeah.
I have Lukaku as well.
I think
with their attack setup, Shakes, I have a hard time feeling like he won't convert the chances that Werner continued to miss last year.
Yeah.
some of the Werner misses were so comical. My thought process, though, with the Golden Boot was you bet Harry Kane now, and either he gets it done for Spurs or he goes to Man City and you just automatically won. Like his odds would immediately plummet.
I think Lukaku still has a really good shot. I'm not going to set my heights real high on Harry right now for Spurs or for Man City, hopefully. But I hope he's Spurs. I hope he stays with us. You know, that number 4 finish for me, I think that really is contingent upon Harry coming back and us figuring out how we can best go forward. But we're right here, boys. We are days away from watching our clubs in the morning on the weekend, and life is about to be back in full force.
Love it. I'm pumped. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. Always fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
EJ.
man. Thanks for coming on, EJ.
Yeah, love you guys. Bye.
Danny Shakes, sign the people off.
Let's go. The season is upon us, and come on, you Spurs.
Coys, get it done. Finish 4th or win the league.